嗨，
和刚才话本里提及的狐狸是不是同一人？
Oh yes, that's the manju I know. That's also the manju I know.
あらあら。
Oh dear god, Azur Promilia. Finally! The gacha game that I look forward to the most based on the impressions I had after watching the trailer and the gameplay. But what caught my interest even further is this. This f***ing adorable little chicken that appears in a number of skins in Azur Lane.
It should have been me, not him!
Manju, the developer of one of the most cultured games ever to exist in the gacha industry. At least that's based on my experience as a very casual player. Anyway, I just want to express my hopes and expectations for Azur Promilia in 4 aspects: gameplay, story, gacha, and the best part of all, the fan service. Alright, gameplay. The core element in a game. This is what's important, how fun/entertaining or challenging it is. Pretty much the reason why we play a video game. After watching the gameplay demonstration, of course it's open world waifu RPG, but even better, because it has Pokemon. However, they're called Kibo in this game instead. So I guess Genshin plus Palworld? Now I'll admit, I'm not a Pokemon fan, but I have played Palworld, so that's the closest reference I could relate to. You know what the general gist of that game is?
Welcome to slavery.
Apparently, you get that in Promilia as well, with the farming and all. The casual side of the game, I guess. In terms of combat and alt animations, it's all cool and smooth so far, but this is only just the demonstration, so it may subject to change. What fascinates me is the mount mechanic. On land and in the air. Yes, you get to f***ing fly. Not gliding, flying. Finally, getting to places ought to be a breeze with this. Seeing that the flying mount can also travel on land, I'm guessing this Kibo is something that you have to search or grind for, which is personally the better alternative than being locked to the gacha. Plus, you grind for the good shipfus in Azur Lane anyway, so it's nothing new in Manju's case. Now, something that will highly likely be new is the story aspect. I don't know what kind of story Manju's cooking for Promilia, but based on this type of game, it should be linear, which is different than AL's structure. The story in Azur Lane is all over the place, if I were to describe it briefly. There is a main storyline, and that's like the retelling of World War II, but replace the warships with shipfus, which is the whole idea of the gacha game. However, the majority of the story aspect is like fragments that build up on the lore. Alternate realities, parallel dimensions, and the like. Plus, they're event-based, so they're gone after it ends. To be fair though, you can replay them in the war archives, but if I recall correctly, they're only added after like quite a while, a year, 2 years maybe. I'm not so sure, so if there are any other AL veterans watching, please do let us know in the comment section. Anyway, back to Promilia. I do hope they give a decent story with a decent protagonist at the very least. I don't really care if we get to choose a male or female MC because I'll eventually choose the female one anyway. Please make her a hot manju. But what I do mind is her character, her personality, her development, her interactions. Coming from my last video on Wuthering Waves, the female protagonist in that game was great in terms of design, but lackluster in character. Way lackluster. So that's one thing to learn from Manju. Another thing to learn from is probably the gacha system. Now, the hard truth is, this type of game, open world waifu RPG, takes a long time to develop and would require a considerable amount of budget, which I assume they got from our endless spendings on cultured skins and expanding dock space. Good to know our investment is being rewarded even more now. Anyway, this is the topic that I want to touch on. Azur Lane is a waifu collection game. Its gacha is relatively more F2P friendly, at least in my experience. I've never had to hit the 200 PT and I managed to get all the characters in a banner around 100 pulls, on average. And this is coming from my playtime of playing every day for the past 4 years. Dupes, you have the adorable Bullins. The 0.5% character, you can buy from the event shop. The monetization mainly comes from the skins. It is so free-to-play friendly to the point that some people I know spend on the monthly pass just to support the game even if they don't need those in-game currencies. However, Azur Promilia will highly likely not take this approach. The development and maintenance will cost more, and the characters are way more limited. We have like around 600 or 700 shipfus in AL now, whereas AP is only starting with 13 based on the gameplay demonstration. 5 is shown in the official website, which I assume will be the starter characters. Terrara is Bremerton, but cuter, for real. The point I want to try to make is, if you are coming from Azur Lane, Don't expect Promilia's gacha to be like it. I doubt it'll be the same. Don't get me wrong though. If it's similar, it's all the better. I wish I wouldn't have to worry about pulling all the characters I want and maxing them. I mean, I have 1200 plus cubes and it's awesome. Just don't set your expectations too high and you won't be as disappointed. If it goes bad, of course. What you should be looking forward to is the fan service. Let's be real, guys. This aspect is what gave Manju its identity. And after looking at the Mummy Foxian waifu, which is legit Shinano, I have to say, I am hopeful. I need her. Now, I heard that the gacha will be just for the characters. Of course, take it with a grain of salt. If the gacha system is relatively more F2P friendly, then we can just focus our spendings on the skins rather than the pulls. I understand the idea of Promilia is to reach a broader player base, but that shouldn't come at the cost of neglecting the current player base that you already have. For us that are coming from Azur Lane, at least reward us with some kind of fan service. Seeing that Manju is based in China, and China is pretty much the fun police, so there's bound to be censorships. You know what? I stand corrected. Pretty sure Manju doesn't fucking care. Let loose, guys. You all are men and women of culture. To conclude, it's pretty much understandable why Manju decided to make Azur Promilia. Seeing the success of Genshin Impact, it's not wrong to try to follow the same formula. I just hope it's not as predatory as the aforementioned game. I personally don't play Genshin, and I don't want Azur Promilia to be titled the next Genshin killer because one, we all know that the only thing that'll kill Genshin is Hoyoverse themselves. And two, I don't want those people in Twitter or wherever else to come over to our side of the gacha player base, the cultured player base, and cause unnecessary drama or ruckus. Pretty sure Manju is not much of a controversial gacha developer, or at all, relatively speaking, and that's good. If I recall correctly, the last problem we've had is about HMS Ensign that was designed to be a lolly, whereas her sisters are all adult-looking onechans, and even that was internal. Plus, the devs listened. Well, we also had the Kashino issue in Twitter, but idiots in Twitter, not important, so why bother? They probably don't know that the CEO of Manju is a waifu herself. Manju could survive with just Azur Lane, but with the rising competition from other similarly categorized gacha games such as Blue Archive or Nikkei that are based in South Korea, which is not limited by censorship, it's unsurprising that they have to step up their game. I, as an Azur Lane fan, will at least stick around to show my support for such a based game if they continue to be cultured. And it's only natural to support another game being made by the developers I appreciate so much. That's all from me. Hope you guys can like and subscribe. Later, addicts. Nono's stoic face here is so adorable.